Hello, everyone. Welcome to Top 10 List from the Power Bomb Project. I am one of your hosts, Daniel, joined by my other two hosts.
It's Berman.
Chris good.
So today, we got 10 massive WrestleMania matches that never happened. All plans, but it just never came to fruition. Before we begin this list, I have one honorable mention. Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho, WrestleMania 33. You're thinking, but it did happen. It did, but it was for the United States Championship, when originally it was going to be for the Universal Championship. What changed plans? They were feeling Brock versus Goldberg for the title. So KO and Christ Jericho were demoted to the mid card. Very sad. But now let's move on to the top 10. Number 10, Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Trish Stratus and Lita, WrestleMania 35 for the Women's Tag Team Championship. So they're planning on bringing Trish and Lita back to do a somewhat of an attraction match for WrestleMania 35. However, something happened, and Trish and Lita couldn't show up. So what's the match that happened instead? Bayley and Trish defended against the Iconics, Beth and Natalya, and Nia Jax with Tamina. Overall, I thought that the match we did originally get wasn't bad necessarily, but what we got could have been better. And that's just the truth, unfortunately. So now let's move on to number 9.
And that's going to be John Cena versus Triple H at WrestleMania 23. Originally, it was supposed to be against Shawn Michaels, but honestly, given the circumstances, either between.
Oh,
What's up?
I'm sorry. The original plan was Triple H, but ended up being Shawn
Oh,
Michaels.
true enough. But I know from what you told us, it was like during his little reunion thing when DX was forming again. He was more of a face,
Yeah,
right? Well,
yeah.
either.
So,
Mm,
he became face. Reunited DX with Shawn. Was having a feud with Rated RKO, and it was going to lead to Triple H becoming the number one contender and facing John Cena in a rematch from the main event of the previous year's WrestleMania for the belt again.
true. But I think either or with Triple H, if that was going to be the original plan originally, I think it's just more of a preference sort of thing because with Triple H, you also have like you could have had his like heel tendencies, but again, he wasn't a heel during this time, and Shawn Michaels was doing his thing. So either or, I think I don't necessarily doubt that it would have been the most amazing thing ever seen, as the Shawn and Triple H for me are kind of like even and even with each other, just due to the lack of less similar personalities. Just more differences if you prefer Shawn's like super kicks and Triple H's more pedigrees more than anything. So it even if it didn't happen, it's fine for what it is. It would have been a cool show, but would it be match of the year? I don't think so, but it could have been possibly pretty fun. But I understand where they're coming from Vince's doing or whoever was in charge of the creative, mostly Vince or the writers or whoever. But anyways, it would have been good if it would have been Triple H, but it's fine.
So let's head over to number 8. That would be Triple H versus Randy Orton, WrestleMania 21 for the World Heavyweight Championship match. This was a this was supposed to happen, but this was when Randy Orton became the youngest heavyweight champion. But something I think it was because of Triple H turning heel, or no, Randy turning heel, he went over against Undertaker instead of this match. Which, perfectly honest, I love Undertaker, and I remember that match perfectly too. But I think this match probably would have been a lot better. And I think it was Triple H versus Batista, and I think this match would have been so much better than both of those combined, because I think it was going to be a great match to see. But it did happen. This match did actually come back to happen at WrestleMania 25. So at least that kind of happened. But still, I think it would be better if it was happened earlier, same time. Then heading over to number 7, CM Punk versus Triple H at WrestleMania 30. This was interesting because the big thing, what happened was, everyone knows that it was Bryan versus Triple H, but it was supposed to be CM Punk versus Triple H. But the big thing was happening was, and it was mainly because of Brian getting pushed down to the mid card, but CM Punk really didn't like that. He was getting really pissed off, and it was kind of what ultimately made him go away from the company because they wanted to push down his friend, and this was ultimately kind of changed. And if this actually would have happened, it would change the whole history of wrestling, and it would change pretty much Brian never winning the championship, never becoming the ultimate underdog, and never making Yes-Mania thing. So it would have really changed the whole thing. So it is interesting to think about that. So it's a brutal thing to see, but at least I think this match probably would have been good. But I think I didn't want to miss the moment with Brian against Triple H and then going to the main event. So I would miss that match.
So at number 6, one of the original plans was going to be Charlotte Flair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 38. But unfortunately, we didn't get that because at the time, Ronda Rousey was kind of more of announced to mostly take over Sasha Banks' place, but which is kind of a slap to the face towards Banks because she's been working so damn hard for this. It was inevitably her downfall of leaving WWE. As from Daniel was telling me previously, it was kind of more of a, oh, we got Ronda Rousey now. We don't need you anymore, Sasha Banks. Get the fuck out of here. We don't need you for this division. We got the moneymaker right here, which is really stupid. Because honestly, with Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks going at it, it would have been one hell of a match, in my opinion. I mean, sure, you can argue Charlotte Flair doesn't always like perform her best in every single match, but at least from what I've seen recent of the years, at least when it comes to these kind of pay-per-views, she is somewhat try. So it's real unfortunate. It's kind of dumb. But hey, at least Sasha Banks is in a better place for what we got today. So good for her. Unfortunate circumstances, but that's all on Vince right there, or whoever is in charge
Yep.
of that.
I also wanted to mention this. They picked Ronda Rousey, right? But I'm not trying to take shots here or anything, but look at what Ronda's doing currently and look at what Mercedes Moné is doing currently. I mean, it's like day and night, honestly.
Exactly, man.
So, all right, coming in at number 5, we got Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7. So, why did this not happen? Well, they fought originally at WrestleMania 6, and Ultimate Warrior pinned Hogan, but Hogan did not like the decision at all. As a matter of fact, this was something he would go on to be bitter about for years. Why? Because of Hulk Hogan. So, originally, they were going to do a rematch, and this time the Hulkster was going to get his redemption and win, brother. But what happened instead? Ultimate Warrior lost his title to Sergeant Slaughter, and there was a war going on at the time, so WWF were doing some controversial things with Sergeant Slaughter as a heel champion going against the US, so they were definitely in smaller arenas for a period of time, and the main event ended up being Slaughter versus Hogan for the WWF title. And what happened with Ultimate Warrior? Well, he had a career versus career match against Randy Savage earlier on the card, which outshined the main event. What a surprise. Now, coming in at number 4, Stone Cold versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 18. Why did this match never happen? From what it seems, no one wanted to put the other guy over. That's basically just from what it seemed. Or maybe Hogan just thought Stone Cold didn't deserve, beating him at WrestleMania. Who knows? But the match that we got was The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. And to this day, it's still one of the biggest matches in wrestling history. So all worked out for Hogan. As for Stone Cold, he fought Scott Hall on the mid card of WrestleMania. And while on paper, Scott Hall versus Stone Cold could be pretty good, the match we got itself was underwhelming. The stunner was pretty awesome, though. So, moving on to number 3. Kurt Angle versus Sting at WrestleMania 18. WrestleMania 18 seems cursed. Number 4 had the same issue, and now we're here at number 3. So why did Sting not come to WWE, or AKA WWF, and face Kurt Angle? Well, Sting did not like how Booker T lost to The Rock at SummerSlam, and he was scared how he would be treated by the company if he went. And based off when he did finally go in 2014 and 2015, Sting ended up being right after all. WWE misused the boy Sting, and that was what it was, unfortunately. Now, let's hear Chris for number 2.
So at number 2, we could have gone in Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13 for a rematch, actually, because these two had one of the greatest wrestling matches way back when they were first colliding. But unfortunately, because this match never happened, was mostly due to Shawn Michaels not wanting to lose, which is fucking stupid. I mean, he already beat Bret Hart after all that Montreal screw job and all this other garbage that came out of that whole incident.
Oh, no, the Montreal screw job happened after this point. This was before the Montreal screw job.
Correction, thank you, sir. Point being, this match could have been awesome, but unfortunately, Shawn didn't want to. For some reason, he did just want to lose. I don't know why. It could have just been one loss, and it would have been beneficial for Bret or Shawn Michaels. If anything, they could have made like a third finale match. So if Shawn Michaels could have probably gotten that towards the end. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. But if you want to look back, we have the original match where they first collided. So that part was indeed awesome, and that's really unfortunate. Big sad that never happened.
Yeah. So now, number 1, 2 matches at the same WrestleMania that unfortunately never happened. So originally, this one's a bit tragic, which is why it made number 1. Eddie Guerrero, the night he died, was going to have a triple threat world championship match with Batista, the champion, and Randy Orton as the other challenger on SmackDown. And Eddie Guerrero was actually going to win. And what was the plan? The plan was to have Shawn Michaels potentially win the Royal Rumble and go on to do Eddie Guerrero versus Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship. Man, that could have been one of the best matches of all time if it happened. But what happened afterwards was this. They had to come up with a new world title match. What did they come up with? Batista versus Randy Orton. Makes sense. Former Evolution buds. They both had to deal with Triple H. It made sense. But Batista got injured. So, not 1, but 2 world title matches ended up having to be canceled. Crazy. But thankfully, this was a great opportunity for Rey Mysterio to rise and get his moment at WrestleMania. So that was great as well, I will admit. As it sucks what happened and everything, it really does. But Rey Mysterio getting that moment at WrestleMania is one of the most iconic moments of his career. And WrestleMania 22 ended up being a damn good WrestleMania as it was, despite all going against it. So I gotta give it a lot of credit.
Yeah, to me that would be fun as hell to see as a great. It would be fun. It was probably would have been one of the best matches, and I would love to see Eddie Guerrero win that title. But it's so sad too to see that Eddie Guerrero died on the night before this actually happened, and it's really super sad. It really he deserved that for a long time too. So it's really sad to see a legend go down like that, and it didn't get participate in this great of a match.
Yeah, and again, it's tragic, and there's nothing that could have been prevented, unfortunately. But I would like to imagine if this match were to occur, it probably would have been one of the most classic things people still talk to this day. But you know, the main event was still good, but unfortunately, Eddie passed away and Batista getting injured, and it's just a whole bunch of circumstances. It just wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. But it would have been great.
Yeah. Easily the most cursed world title scenario in WrestleMania history, I would have to say.
See.
So, those are our WrestleMania matches that never happened. Unfortunate some of these matches never happened. And who knows, Brock versus Gunther isn't happening this year, so that may be a match added to this list, but that's for another time.
Because Brock doesn't like Walter. They're not breaking
Brock fears them chops. He ain't ready for them chops.
He's scared. Little bitch boy.
He is.
I'm not going to say it to his
Brock.
face because he kicked my ass.
Exactly, same here. All right, well, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Daniel.
I've been Berman.
I've been Chris.
And we'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.